PD Beats here from Pop Turner, speaking to Mary Mauser about Season 6, Part 1 of Cobra Kai, now streaming worldwide on Netflix. Welcome back to the show. It's so good to see you again.
Thank you so much. You too.
Oh, we were saying, it feels like forever ago since we spoke.
Right. Yes, both forever and yesterday. That's the weird thing is it feels like I was just here getting to have these conversations, and now I have a whole new world, a whole new batch that we get to dive into.
100%. Season 6, the final season. Oh my goodness. I kind of want to know, when you start, what's that like when you finally start getting scripts for the final episodes? Because I know usually you get them in bulks and everything, but I'm just curious, when you started getting the first couple of scripts for Part 1 for Season 6, what was that like for you specifically, mindset-wise?
There's I'm a kid on Christmas every time I get a script, regardless, for this show. It's always been I just dive straight in. I'm scrolling through on my phone, reading it as fast as humanly possible. I always get excited, especially because we all go and read them when we get them and then swap notes.
Yeah.
So I have a blast with as soon as we kind of go read them, coming back and be oh my God, did you see who you're fighting? Can you believe that's happening? And we just oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. We should go ask them how we get to this point. There has to be some big story plot point that's coming. And we geek out about it, which is really fun. But this one it definitely had that melancholy tone to it of knowing that oh my God, I remember getting the first script and be yes, I can dive in. Here we go. Let's start reading. And then about halfway through going, oh my God, this is the last first script. This is the last time that I'll open, an episode 1 of the season and have that. We get to the end of our script pages, and the very last line on the script says "End Snake," and it's that logo that comes up at the end of the episode, and it's that finality of getting to the end of the first episode, reading it, and just seeing "End Snake" and being holy shit, this is really happening.
And I was there since day one, the YouTube days. I remember day one. And let's be honest, Mary, it's not a season of Cobra Kai unless there's a dojo change, right? Someone changes the dojo.
That's the fun, right? It's magical chairs, but magical dojos. Musical chairs. There you go.
6 seasons of playing Samantha LaRusso. I feel it's interesting because I feel Season 1 and Season 2 is really cool for you from an acting perspective because, Season 1, you've never played this character before. Season 2, maybe you're getting familiar a little bit with. But, have you kind of established or confirmed what your favorite thing about playing Samantha LaRusso is over the 6 seasons specifically? Is there one element of this character you like the most? Is it a lot of elements? I'm curious about that.
There's definitely a lot of them. It's it's hard to narrow it down. I think for sure, I'm going to miss doing karate as Sam. I now practice karate in my own personal life, so I know that I'll have that, but I definitely will miss, Sam's karate. I'm going to really miss her relationship with her dad and the scenes with Ralph. I think those are always really meaningful and impactful to me, and I learn so much through them that I'm going to miss that a lot. I'm going to miss that she leads heart first and she barrels through life a little bit in that regard. But I'm really going to miss the people. I think that the connections between her and her teammates, and even her foes.
No, absolutely. And it's so interesting too, because this, so much happens before you go to camera on a new season of Cobra Kai, right? You did it for 6 seasons. There's so much preparation, so many conversations. So in a lot of ways, from kind of an acting storyteller perspective, you could see it as 2 separate journeys, right? Before filming something and after filming something. Or for you, was it one big journey with multiple steps, from a storytelling acting perspective, working on Cobra Kai?
I think the whole entirety of Cobra Kai feels like a beautiful long-term relationship. It feels like I remember the flirting phase and the getting into it dating phase and then making it feel official phase. And then, this beautiful, meaningful, deep relationship through all of these years of ups and downs with being Samantha and with interacting with all these new characters as we bring them in and these new story points. And, and then now kind of feeling that chapter start to come to a close. It feels like this, maybe I guess I can't liken it to a breakup because it's very healthy and loving and wonderful and supportive. But I will say I definitely am processing it the grief period is really happening in the best way possible. It's just been such a wonderful journey.
If you think about it, Cobra Kai is one of those rare shows. Like, I just realized this right now, Mary. Like, it has everything. Like, when I say everything, you think about it, right? Like,
right.
It has everything. It's funny. It's got the action. It's got the heartfelt moments. It's really sad. It's gut wrenching. It's got amazing music. Like, it's got everything, right? Like, when do you start realizing how packed this show is, kind of element wise? Like, was it maybe season 3, season 4? Because that's when it got really big, right?
Yeah, I guess that's when it got really big for everyone. Like, I remember the feeling coming into season 1 and being like, wow, this is going to be such a cool experience. And I really hope that people see it. And then getting to see season 1 and being like, oh, that's how it came all together. Like, people are going to love this. I really can't wait for people to see this. And then having people see season 1. And I think maybe around like season 2, because we had like, it was meeting people out that like knew the show was really cool. But I mean, it really changed, obviously, when we moved over to Netflix and just a lot more eyes kind of getting on the show meant a lot more opportunities to meet people who had seen it. So I think that was kind of the moment where it sank in of like, oh my God, like this isn't just like, my baby anymore. Like everybody can see and experience this and have their own personal journey with it.
Oh, and the Cobra Kai fandom does not mess around. Shout out to the Cobra Kai. It is so crazy.
It's the best around, I would argue, actually.
True. It's interesting. That's a perfect segue. I mean, last time you came on the show, we talked about the, Cobra Kai, fandom and how global and how dedicated. And you were saying a really cool thing that a lot of people know is that like the cast like pays attention, like they know what's going on, which is really cool. Over this journey of 6 seasons, what has been the coolest thing for you, Mary Mauser, being kind of an actor on Cobra Kai, what's been the coolest thing about seeing this global kind of phenomenon fandom over the years specifically for you?
I think I live like my life as such a fangirl of things. Like when I get excited about something, I am like all in, thrilled and stoked about it. Like, I'm looking up the Tumblr edits and the TikToks of characters. Like I can't wait for a new trailer of something. Like when I get really into something, like I'm really into it. So it's been really, really weird and the best way possible, like so cool to experience it from the other side. And I forget so often because like this is also feels like my family and it feels like something that I'm so emotionally connected to, and I'm head down working as hard as I can when we're on set, that I'm not, I am thinking about it constantly, but I'm not like registering how real it is until I step back out of it again and then look at it through that perspective and go, holy shit, I can't wait for the people who stopped me and told me that their favorite interaction was this one scene with Sam. And I can't wait for them to see what that leads to, because that's going to lead to something in this new season that they don't know about yet.
Absolutely. There's a lot of good Samantha Russos. I'm trying to think. I think the soccer scene when you're all like against Hawk, like those the Hawk rivalry days with Dimitri. I think that was good stuff.
That was super fun. We didn't even talk about that. I should bring that back up when I see Jacob, because that one was really fun.
That season was crazy if you think about it. There's so many seasons that you look back that like there's like such big moments that happen in every season that come back in this season if you think about it. I mean, like, that's the point, right? Everything has to kind of wrap up, right?
Yeah, no, and this one definitely is like, I mean, it's the biggest and most badass for sure. It's bringing in like every element that you wish you knew what would happen next. We kind of get to see it and get to address it.
Absolutely. I mean, it was so chaotic at like the last, like how season 5 ended was like an action movie.
Yeah, I know. It's wild. It feels wild. That especially just the idea that all of this is happening in these like people's real lives, right? If Samantha were real, this is just like, this is her life. Like, can you imagine you're like sitting there with your friend and you're like, hey, like, how are you today? It's like, oh, like, I had this sandwich that I loved. How are you today? Oh, I just beat up some kids that were messing with me after class. They were bothering me. So anyway,
I protected the egg. It was
exactly.
So many things, so many references. I mean, I always walk on eggshells with these interviews because, like, I've seen, like, by the time this interview is out, part 1, season 6 is out worldwide on Netflix. I don't want to say much, you know what I mean? Like, I like people going in, but I wanted to ask you, because there's some really cool things with Samantha this season with Sam. Like, I love it, right? There's a lot of really cool things with Sam and Tori and that kind of like rivalry, and maybe it's a friendship. Like, what is it this season? You know what I mean? But is there an arc or a character you really enjoyed besides Sam for season kind of 6, part 1, that you really enjoyed kind of seeing the journey from like reading in the script and then seeing it on screen specifically?
6, part 1 specifically. Mm-hmm. I mean, I really enjoyed the Robbie Miguel dynamic. I think knowing how far they've come, like the idea that maybe we're looking at, maybe, you know, in a jar, you could say it's kind of a smaller version of Daniel and Gianni, and it took them those 30 years of life to have this arc, and maybe we're getting to see that, you know, through generational healing, we're getting to see it happen in a much quicker span of growth and understanding one another. Obviously, that doesn't always go perfectly smoothly every time, but it's just cool to think of like getting to dive into that.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of cool things. I mean, it's tournament preparation time. I mean, we know what we're gonna see, but we want to like see it, right? Like, we know how season 5 kind of ends, but I mean, what was that like, by the way, just getting ready for everything, Taikai? Like, what was that like specifically? Just like actually going to filming all that stuff?
This was like for sure the season that took the most, it took the most out of us, and again, the best way possible, because it's just like we want to give 110% for every single thing. Like, no, but it's pulling no one's teeth to give 150% every time that we jump into it, but you're still giving 150%. So at the end of the day, you know, we were spent. This was a big season with we trained hard. Everyone trained really, really hard. And we, you know, not that we train hard every season. We've trained particularly hard on the tournament seasons, but this one in particular, being that it's, you know, the best of the best of the world, really, I feel like everybody took that to heart and took it home with them, and took it as a challenge and brought their A game.
Absolutely. And last question, perfect segue to my last question, actually. Looking back at these 6 seasons, you know, so much has happened. Emotional roller coaster. I feel like working on Cobra Kai, Mary, is like on one of these roller coasters that you basically can't get off of, right? Like, it's got everything. It's got,
like I said, it's like a long relationship. It's like, you know, you go through all the ups and downs, but there's never been a down that doesn't feel like an up to me.
Yeah, 100%. But like, from like a learning, like, because no matter when you've been on a set one time or 1,000 times, there's always going to be learning experiences, right? So I'm just curious, specifically from an acting storyteller perspective, what are some big learning experiences that you got from playing Samantha LaRusso on Cobra Kai that you'll be able to take for future projects and everything specifically?
I mean, I think overall, the main thing that I, from day one, was observing and took really seriously was Ralph and Billy's approach to the series. They're just so talented and seasoned professionals that there was so much to watch and learn there, which I'm so grateful to have been in the proximity to get to do that. It's just crazy to me. It's very surreal, but they just approach this show with such a strong work ethic and such a dedication, such a passion and excitement, open hearts and hands and minds. And it's something that I really hope to have the opportunity to be in a position to continue to emulate that. I will also say, you know, it brought me martial arts. So that's something that I know that I will continue to think about and put energy toward and study. And I've learned a lot from it in that regard. And I think, oh God, there's so much. It's like, this has been, you know, this has been my so much of my heart for so long that it'll never leave me. Like, Samantha will forever be with me. So I don't have to worry about that, at least.
No, absolutely. That's really, really well said. And, you know, season 6, the final season, part 1, available now worldwide on Netflix, and then part 2 and part 3, you know, it's 10 episodes total. When they come, they'll be there and people will be able to check out how everything wraps up. Mary, it was so great catching up. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
No problem. Instagram is the best way to keep update of everything, right? It's just your name?
Yes, yeah. My Instagram, it's Miss Mary M. Mauser. I don't remember why. I think Mary M. Mauser was taken at the time, and then I think they actually returned the account to me. I got like a random DM that was like, here's the account, and I don't know who would take. Anyway, I have both of the handles, but Miss Mary M. Mauser is like the main social media I've got.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for your time, and thank you for Cobra Kai, this show that just like is one of the best shows. It just means the world to everyone. So thank you very much. And well, this has been Pop Turnative, youtube.com/Pop Turnative. Previous episodes. Until next time, this is Mary Mauser and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Pop Turnative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Pop Turnative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.